You wake up. You immediately check the time, even before you're fully conscious. Before you look at the person beside you. Before you look out the window. The very first thing your brain wants to know is what time it is. But that's exactly where the problem begins. Because for most of human history, that question didn't exist. Not because people didn't care, but because the answer didn't work the way you think it does. For most of human history, time wasn't a number. It wasn't 7:43 a.m. It wasn't, I have 12 minutes left. Time was a feeling, the color of the sky, the length of your own shadow on the ground. And with that, humanity built civilizations. Before clocks existed, people used the sun. That's obvious, but not in the way you might imagine. You didn't look at the sun and think, oh, it's about 2 in the afternoon. You looked at shadows. Your own shadow, the shadow of a stick planted in the ground. Ancient Egyptians were already using shadow. Clocks marked sticks placed in the ground as early as 1500 BC. They divided daylight into 12 equal parts. But there was a problem. 12 parts of a summer day are not the same length as 12 parts of a winter day, which means the length of an hour changed depending on the season. Imagine making plans with someone, and the hour you agreed on this month is 40 minutes shorter than it was last month. That wasn't a flaw in the system. That was the system. At night, things became even more difficult. There was no sun. There were no shadows. So people watched the stars. Certain stars appeared at certain times. And if you knew the sky well enough, you could estimate what time it was. The ancient Egyptians even had star charts for this. They called them star clocks, diagrams showing which stars should be visible at which hours of the night. You had to learn the sky to know the time. Think about that. For thousands of years, telling time meant reading the universe. Then came water. The clepsydra, a water clock, a container with a small hole. Water dripped out at a steady rate. Marks were placed along the container. You read the marks. The Greeks used them. The Romans used them. Historical records suggest that water clocks were also used in Chinese imperial courts to limit how long officials could speak. Some things never change, but water clocks had a weakness. Cold water flows more slowly than warm water. Every winter their accuracy fell apart. And this is what it meant for how people actually lived. Without fixed and universal time, coordination worked differently. You didn't say, let's meet at 3 o'clock. You said, let's meet when the market opens. Or you'll come when the sun reaches the well. Time was event-based, not number-based. Your day wasn't divided into units. It was divided into events. Dawn, the call to prayer, lunch, sunset. Those were the anchors of your day, not schedule slots. And because of that, being late meant something different. You couldn't be 7 minutes late. You could only arrive before or after something happened. There was no such thing as wasting time, because time wasn't a resource you could watch running out. Mechanical clocks changed everything. Europe. Around the 13th century, monks needed to pray at specific times every day, consistently. They needed a machine that didn't depend on the sun, water, or stars. So they built one, and once cities had clock towers, time became public, shared. Universal within a city. Everyone agreed on the same now. But here's something most people don't know. For centuries after clocks were invented, different cities still kept different times. London and Bristol differed by 20 minutes. It didn't matter until trains arrived. When railways began connecting cities, creating schedules became nearly impossible. You couldn't publish departure times if every city had its own clock. So in 1847, British Railways adopted a single standard time, Greenwich Mean Time. Eventually, the world followed. Time zones, something that feels like a natural feature of the Earth, were actually invented in the 19th century to solve a railway scheduling problem. So where does that leave you? You wake up and check the time before you're even fully conscious because you live inside a system built piece by piece over thousands of years. Shadow sticks, star charts, dripping water, church bells, clock towers, train schedules, time zones, the screen in your hand. Each one passed its role to the next, and somewhere along that chain, time stopped being something you observed and became something you obeyed. Ancient humans looked at the sky to find the time. You look at a screen, the information is the same. Everything else has changed.